invite you to take a good sitting position. Press down with your sit bones into the floor and sit tall. Bring your hands to your heart. Close your eyes and turn your attention inwards. Bring your awareness to your breath. And on each exhalation, just make your out breath a little longer than your in breath. And we'll open with 3 ohms. Exhale, inhale, Om. Inhale, Om. Inhale, Om. Open your eyes, release your hands. My word of the day today is a poem by John O'Donoghue, and as we head once more into living quietly and living perhaps in isolation and looking after ourselves, because the threat of COVID has raised its head yet once again, we're heading into a period of uncertainty in our lives, uncertainty everywhere in the world. So I'll just read you this poem, and the words speak for themselves. 'Tis the time to be slow, lie low to the wall until the bitter weather passes. Try, as best you can, not to let the wire brush of doubt scrape from your heart all sense of yourself and your hesitant light. If you remain generous, time will come good, and you will find your feet again on fresh pastures of promise, where the air will be kind and blushed with beginning. So let's take that into our practice this evening for ourselves. Make your way into cat-cow. Come onto your hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Exhale, round your back up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lift your head, look up, sink down between your shoulder blades. Body following breath. Exhale, round up. Inhale, sink down. Being mindful, being present, nothing to do, nowhere to be, except focusing on your breath. And keep that going, body following breath. Coming back to a place of stillness, walk your knees back, turn your toes under, lift your hips high and make your way to down dog. Spread your fingers wide, parallel your index fingers. Externally rotate your upper arms. What does that mean? Turn the soft fleshy biceps towards the short end of the front of your mat. Press the heel of your hands into the floor, lift your hips high and invite your heels to come to the floor. Squeeze your inner shins, your inner thighs towards each other. Float forward into plank. And if it's just a little bit much for you today, you can put your knees on the floor and float forward into plank like so. Shoulders over wrists, squeezing your heels towards each other. Engage your quads. Gaze out in front. Lower to the floor, arms by your sides, turn your palms up. Squeeze your heels together, tops of your feet on the floor, flare your toes. Inhale, lift your head and shoulders off the floor, locust one. Tighten your glutes, broaden across your collarbones. Make your way to down dog lunge. Come into down dog and step your right foot forward. Walk your hands forward, hands shoulder width apart. Drop your head and look back towards your back foot. Front shin vertical, thigh parallel. Drop your head, look back towards your heel. Switch feet. Front foot back, back foot forward. Walk your hands towards the end of your mat, hands shoulder width apart. Lift back heel up to vertical. Drop your head, look back towards your toes. Stretch your front knee away from your back heel. And come and sit down with your feet out in front of you. Place your hands behind you, turn your hands out 45 degrees. Bend your knees, place your heels in front of your hips and lift your hips up as high as you can. Tighten your glutes. Press down with your hands into the floor. Stretch your knees away from your shoulders. Shoulders over wrists. Gently release to the floor and make your way to standing. Moving into power pose, head to knee, arms out in front, hands shoulder width apart, and then invite the head of the arm bones back into the shoulder socket. Keep that. More doable, feet inner hip width apart. More difficult, feet together. Bend your knees, round your back, lower your hips, bring your forehead to your knees, stretch your arms out in front. Press down, stand up and make your way into crescent. Bring your hands together. Squeeze them in. Press down with both feet into the floor. Squeeze your shins together. Engage your core. Move your ears back. Press down equally with both feet into the floor. Tighten your glutes. Engage your quads. Inhale, come back up and switch to the other side. Inhale, come back up. Release your arms by your sides. Come into mountain. Press down equally with both feet into the floor. Squeeze your shins in. Engage your quads. Press your tailbone down. Lengthen the sides of your body long from your hips to under your armpits. Broaden across your collarbones. Stretch arms down, stretch fingers down. Move ears back. Turn your whole attention inwards. Noticing the rise and fall of your breath and the sensations in your body. Moving into summit, inhale your arms up, hands shoulder width apart, point palms in. Brushing your arms off your ears, engage your core, press your tailbone down, root down into the earth, expand out into the universe. Lift your gaze and soften on the inside. Inhale, exhale, hinge forward, come into full forward fold. Place your hands, half forward fold. Place hands under shoulders, knees bent. Lift your gaze, look out in front. Shoulders over wrists. Slight bend in the knees. And moving into full forward fold, walk your hands back. Line up your fingernails with your toenails on the outside of your feet. Allow your head to drop. Press the heels of your hands towards the floor. If you cannot reach the floor, place your hands on blocks or on books. Look back between your legs and keep a slight bend in your knees. While you do this, press the backs of your knees away from you. Make your way into plank on your elbows. Come onto your hands and knees. Lower down onto your elbows. Clasp your hands together. Turn your toes under. Lift your hips off the floor. Gaze out in front. Lower gently to the floor. Bring your arms by your sides. Turn your palms up. Bring the side of your face to the floor and rest. Moving into locust arms band, clasp your hands behind your back, keeping your toes, feet on the floor, press them into the floor, lift your head and shoulders off the floor, lift your arms up as high as you can. Lower your arms and turn the other side of your face to the floor and rest. From here we'll move into forearm lunge. Come onto your hands and knees. Step your right foot forward. And either stay up on your hands or lower down onto your elbows. If your elbows don't quite meet the floor, get 2 blocks or a book and place them underneath them. Gaze out ahead. And switch legs, front foot back, back foot forward, lower down onto your elbows. Stretch your right leg back behind you a little, top of your knee on the floor. Press the top of your right foot into the floor, flare your toes. And moving into twisted lunge, step your feet together, make your way to standing. Walking to the back of your mat, step your right foot forward, lift your back heel off the floor, torso upright, bring your hands to your heart, and then turn, cross your body, bring your left elbow to the outside of your front knee. Lift your right elbow up towards the ceiling. Press down with your back foot into the floor, lift your heel to vertical. Roll your right hip back, your right ribs back, your right shoulder back. Press top hand into bottom hand, endeavouring to line up your thumbs with your sternum. Lift the back of your back knee up. Look down at your front foot. Lower your hands to the floor and switch feet. Front foot back, back foot forward, torso upright, hands to your heart, and cross your body. Bring your right elbow to your left knee, press top hand into bottom hand, roll ribs back, roll shoulder back, look down at toes, lift back with back knee up. Lower your hands to the floor, step your feet together, and moving into mountain once more. Hands by your side, close your eyes, turn in. Moving into tree pose, shift your weight onto your left foot and then take your right foot and either place it against your ankle, your shin or your upper inner thigh. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Root down with the standing foot into the floor, move your knee out to the side, engage your core, gaze out in front. And switch to the other side. Shift your weight onto your right foot, lift your left foot and place it. And release your hands. Moving into summit once more. This time clasp your hands together, point your index finger. Root down, stretch up, engage your core. And release your arms by your sides. And moving into half forward fold again. Place your hands on the floor. 6 or 8 inches in front of you. Lift your gaze. Look out in front. Moving into full forward fold, line up your fingernails with your toenails, allow your head to drop. And coming into down dog once more, hands wider than shoulders, parallel your index fingers, grip the floor with your fingertips, gaze at point between your thumbs, pressing the heel of your hands into the floor, lift your hips even higher. Melt your heart. And we'll move into a version of side plank. Float your shoulders over your wrists, pivot your ankles to the right and lift your left foot. Place it halfway up the front of your mat and lift your top arm up to vertical. Top hand over shoulder. Press your right sole of your foot towards the floor as if to put the whole sole of the foot on the floor. Switch through down dog and over onto the other side. I'll do it at the other end of the mat so you can see me. Foot halfway up the front of the mat, front shin vertical, lift top arm up, press the sole of the left foot towards the floor, lift your hip up, lift your head up a little bit so it's not lying down on your lower arm. Walk to the back of your mat and come up to standing. Moving into warrior one. Lift your arms together, bring your hands together. Step your right foot forward, bend your right knee, square your hips, your shoulders to the front of the mat, lift your gaze. Press the outside edge of your back foot into the floor. Engage your quad. Press your tailbone down, engage your core, look up. Line up front knee with root of second toe. Pivot to the back of the mat, right foot in, left foot out. Bend your front knee, sink down. Release your arms, turn your left foot in, turn your right foot out, and make your way, step your feet together and moving into squat pose. Bend your knees, lower your hips, bring your hands to the floor. Endeavour to get our heels on the floor, so stepping your feet a little bit wider apart and turn your toes out to allow that to happen. Allow your head to drop. And come and sit down with your legs out in front of you, moving into staff pose. Hands by your hips, turn your toes towards your heel, towards your feet. Press down with your feet into the floor, squeeze your shins in, engage your core, broaden across your collarbones. Sit tall, gaze out in front. Push through your heels, engage your quads. And then bend your knees, place your heels in front of your hips. Place your hands behind your heads, squeeze your elbows towards each other, lean back and just let your toes are just on the top of the floor. Lift your gaze, look up. Place your hands behind you, moving into east stretch. Turn your hands out 45 degrees. Bring them out to the long edges of the mat so they're quite wide apart. And then lift your hips up. Walk your feet forward. Bring your toes to the floor. Look up. Squeeze inner shins together. Inner thighs. Engage your quads. And release to the floor. And moving into reclined cow's face. Come and lie on your back. Cross your right thigh over your left thigh. Bring both knees into your chest and clasp your feet. Bring your right hand to the opposite foot and left hand to the opposite foot. Cross the tops of so that your hands are on the outside of your feet. Turn your soles up towards the ceiling. Press your lower back into the floor. You could also use a strap here if it's just too much for you. Release your feet to the floor and cross them in the other direction. Cross your left thigh over your right thigh, both knees into your chest, clasp the outside edges of your feet. Release your feet to the floor and make your way into bridge pose. If you have a block, you use a block tonight in bridge pose. So, or use a block, or use several books. Bend your knees, lift your hips and slide your block in so you can prop it just under your sacrum. Your sacrum is the triangular bone at the end of your spine, and put it at a height that feels good for you. If it's not comfortable, move it around until it is comfortable. Sometimes we'll put it a little bit high up the spine and it's in the wrong, above the hips, and that's in the wrong place. And then turn your palms up, your hands up, shoulders are on the floor, head is on the floor, lift your chin out of your chest. And notice all that's arising for you right now, welcoming everything in. Not afraid to be with everything that is really part of you anyways. Inviting everything in as a guest. Remove that block, bring both knees into your chest and give yourself a bit of a hug. Gently massage your spine. Moving into monkey lunge pose. Place your hands on your hips, step your right foot forward. Keeping that, move your hips forward and down. Torso upright, squeeze your elbows back, lift your chest, look up. Lower your hands to the floor and switch feet. Front foot back, back foot forward, torso upright, hands on hips. Move your hips forward and down. Press the top of the back foot into the floor, flare your toes. Torso upright, lift your chest, look up, squeeze the elbows back. Release your hands to the floor and coming into child's pose. Sit back in your heels, heels together, knees together, more difficult, knees apart, more doable. Stretch your arms out in front, bring your head to the floor. I'm going to take a little drink here. Come on to the tips of your fingers. And then creep your hands around to the left hand side, keeping them shoulder width apart. Allow your head to come to the floor. And then around to the right. Back to centre, and come and sit up on your right hip. Moving into twisted sage. Endeavour to cross the sole of your right foot with the top of your left foot. Place your left arm behind you and bring it as high up your back as you can. Place your right hand on top of your opposite knee. Press down with your sit bones into the floor, draw your left shoulder back, your left ribs back, but look over your front shoulder. Sit tall. And back to centre and switch to the other side. Sit on your left hip, knees together, with the top of your right foot bisecting the sole of the left foot. Place your right hand behind you, bring it up high up your back as you can. Roll your right shoulder back, your right ribs back. Place your left hand on top of your right knee, look out over your left shoulder. And release, and moving into cow face pose. Cross your right knee over your left knee. If this is not available for you, just stretch your left leg out so it's out straight out in front of you, so yogi's choice. Make both feet active by pushing through your heels, drawing your toes back. Sit tall, press your sit bones into the floor. Inhale your arms up and then exhale, hinge forward. Place your hands on the floor in front of you, gaze out beyond your hands. Inhale back to centre and switch the cross of your legs. Cross your left leg, thigh over your right thigh, stacking your knees one on top of the other. And then if this is not available to you, stretch your right leg out in front of you, of course. Lift your arms up and hinge forward. Make your way back to centre and coming into thread the needle, line your back, bend your knees, place your heels in front of your hips. Lift your right foot and place it across your left knee, and then bring your left knee into your chest, thread your hands between your legs, hold your knee. Again, left knee should be parallel, both knees sort of parallel to the ceiling. Make both feet active, press your lower back into the floor. Invite your shoulder blades onto your back. Press your head into the floor, lift your chin out of your chest. Release your legs and switch legs. Lift your left foot and place it on top of your right knee. Bring your right knee into your chest. Make both feet active. Release both feet to the floor and moving into reclined bowing sage. If you have a strap, you might need to grab it now. Curl your right knee into your chest and stretch your right leg out, up, holding on to your right foot with both hands. So we're endeavouring to have this right leg as straight as we can. Push through the heel, press the back of your knee away, press your lower back into the floor. Press your left foot into the floor. Draw the whole right leg towards you. Gently lower that foot to the floor. Curl your left knee in, clasp your left ankle with both hands, or use a strap. Press the back of your knee away from you. Press your right foot into the floor. Draw the whole left leg towards you. Gently lower that leg back to the floor. Moving into bow pose. Come and lie in your belly. Bend both knees, bring your heels to your hips. Clasp your ankles with both hands. Squeeze your knees together. Kick your heels up and back. Look out in front. Tighten your glutes. Try and lift your thighs off the floor. And gently release. And turning onto our back once more. Moving into double diamond. Bend your knees, place your heels in front of your hips. Walk your feet out towards the long edges of the mat. Allow your knees to come down to one side. Stretch your arms on the floor beside you. Make goalposts of your arms. Turn your palms up. And then lift your head off the floor. Look away from your knees. Place your head back on the floor. Inhale back to centre. Allow your knees to come down to the other side. And once again, look away from your knees. Stretch your right leg out. Lift your left foot, cross it over the right leg so that the left sole of the foot is on the floor. And roll over onto your right hip until your knee comes to the floor. Stretch your left arm up behind you, look behind you. If you wish, you can place your right hand on top of your left knee. Inhale back to centre. Stretch your left leg out. Bend your right knee, cross it over and bring your knee to the floor. Stretch your right arm up behind you, look behind you. Moving into happy baby. Bring both knees into your chest. And clasp the outside edges of both feet with your hands. Turn the soles of your feet up towards the ceiling. Front shin vertical, thigh parallel. Press your lower back into the floor. Press your head into the floor. Draw down on the soles of your feet. Press up and with the soles of your feet into your hands. Release your feet to the floor. Bring your knees back into your chest. Clasp both feet, stretch your feet up towards the ceiling. And then just draw your toes down towards your head. Press through your heels. Press the backs of your knees away from you. Soften your elbows. Look towards your ankles. And bend both knees and give yourself the most delicious, kindly, loving hug and prepare yourself for relaxation. Stretch your arms out, stretch your legs out. If you have a blanket, now is the time to get one. Long, slow breath deep into your belly. And as you breathe out, just sigh it out. And repeat that twice more. Begin to deepen your breathing, bring your awareness, your attention back into your body and onto the mat. You might like to move your hands, your feet, begin to awaken yourself. You can give yourself a stretch. When you're ready, bend your knees, roll to one side and make your way to sitting. Or you can stay where you are. I invite you to take a good sitting position. Bring your hands to your heart. Turn your attention inwards. One last time. The words of John Donahue, turn your back to the wind. To honour ourselves, each other, and the practice, we close with one Om. Exhale. Inhale. Thank you for practicing, thank you for coming to practice, and if you like this practice, do like, share or subscribe to me on YouTube. See you on the mat.